you have a history of representing, if you want, women in film through your work, but also through the stories you tell. Why Misbehavior? I think it's a very wonderful story. Through comedy, you accomplish a lot, I think.
Thank you. Yes, I love telling stories about women, about women's lives, and I love telling stories that have been hidden in history as well. Sort of little stories that we may have forgotten, or sometimes people we've forgotten about. And so Misbehavior was a perfect story for me because it was about this time in feminist history which has been kind of swept under the carpet. And it was a delightful kind of adventure to uncover this story, not only of the feminists who stormed the stage that night and brought women's liberation into our sitting rooms through the television, but also to celebrate the women who won, the two Black women, one who came first, Jennifer Hostin, and the one who came second, Pearl Jansen. And so this event had everything in it, and it made like a brilliant subject for a movie.
So in few words, it's like it's the story of a group of feminist women who break into a beauty pageant that is objectifying women in a way, like all of them.
That's true. This is a story about a group of women who, very young women, who broke into a beauty pageant and disrupted it in front of viewers, 100 million viewers worldwide, including, you know, the people actually who were there at the pageant as well.
Talk about intelligent action.
Yes, it was a very witty intervention, because these women were just young women making up rules as they went along. They'd only just, women's liberation was in its infancy, so there were no rules to tell them what to do or how to do it or how to tell people about it. So they just had this idea. They wanted to disrupt this beauty pageant and shout about women's liberation and show how women were being objectified.
Yeah, you have great actresses, Kira and Guru, the main characters, I guess, if you can call, if you want to refer to them like this. Why them and what do they bring? I know they're on the opposite sides of the story, right? If you can talk a little about, yeah.
Misbehavior is an ensemble film, really, but at the center of the ensemble is Keira Knightley, who plays Sally Alexander, one of the feminists, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who plays Jennifer Hostin, the woman who won. It was really important for me to have two great actresses to play those roles and to kind of be the opposite sides of the argument. And in the film, there's a wonderful scene where those two characters meet right at the end and discuss their different views. And it's a very, very moving scene, I think. And it was just a pleasure to work with both of those characters. Both Keira and Gugu met the real life ladies who they're based on. Gugu went to Grenada and met Jennifer Hostin and spent some time with her there. And Keira Knightley met Sally Alexander. In fact, all the actors met their real life counterparts, all the women's liberation ones did.
How do you feel about Misbehavior? You want to know the title in Spanish?
What is it in Spanish?
Breaking the Norms.
Ah, fantastic.
It's great interesting, no?
Yeah, very good title, yeah.
I think that sometimes when they give a different title in a different territory, it captures the essence of the movie in a different way, no?
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic title.
Breaking the Rules.
I
knew you were going to like it. Judging you by your films, because I don't know you personally. Is it satisfying for you to break the rules of storytelling? You have a very unique way of telling stories. Like I know your work from the Three Girls and other, you've been doing TV and films for a long time on a very original approach. So you're a rule breaker?
Well, I started off making films in documentaries, and there were no rules about how you would then approach a drama. Nobody ever taught me the rules, so I've never learnt them. So each film I make or each project, I approach it with a kind of, you just have to look at what the subject is, and then the style and how you want to make it comes out of that. And it's always really good fun to be a bit daring and a bit, you know, innovative when you're doing these stories, especially if it is about rule breaking, which Misbehavior obviously is.
So how much do you think the feminist movement has changed? Because, you know, I'm a guy and I'm feminist. So, because if you believe in, I don't know, in equality, you become a feminist, right? Regardless of your gender? Or
I think so. I think what's great about Misbehavior, it gives us an opportunity to look back at the beginning of feminism in 1970 and see how far we've come, but also to have a look at how far we've got to go. Because some of the things that those women were fighting for in 1970, like equal pay, for instance, we still don't have that. We still don't have that. And we don't, you know, there's still few opportunities for childcare, for instance, when you're making a film. It's still a male world. You know,
for example, deciding what to do with your body if you're having a baby. In many countries, there are men who decide by law. It's incredible.
It's incredible. Also, you know, we see the riots in Poland on the news where women are fighting for their rights over their body. And, you know, these are really important issues that are still kind of troubling us and you know, all over the world. Women are still fighting for equal rights.
The two guys in the movie, Greg Kinnear and Rice, they're stereotypically funny, but guys were like that, I think. They still are some.
They so were. I mean, when we were researching the movie, we found some fantastic archive material about Eric Morley. And he really did walk up and down demonstrating to the girls with the cloak on and how to walk and everything. So a lot of our material came from real life. And the same with Bob Hope. We had many, many hours of archive material about him in Vietnam and everything. So we really tried to base our, you know, our script in real life and to try and make it authentic. But now you look back on those days and you think, how could they say that stuff? You know, you can look Bob Hope up on YouTube and you can see the actual moment that he was showered with flour from the feminists in that event. And when he's, you know, he's mooing like a cow about them.
You know, the fact that we need the Me Too movement tells you where we are in a way in this industry. Could you comment a little about that?
I think the Me Too movement is exceptionally important and a transition period for feminism and making women's movies and making women's stories. I don't think if the Me Too movement hadn't happened, I don't think we would have got to make Misbehavior. Because after that movement happened, people suddenly were looking around and saying, oh, we need women's stories all of a sudden. We need women's stories and we better get some women directors to make them as well. So, you know.
It has changed. In my last question, how do you feel about your film opening on a streaming platform, which is a great initiative, but it also, it's a little, well, it's the, you know, it's an option that is very interesting, but also it tells you that reality, the movie theaters are shut down.
Yeah, it's very, very sad that our film clashed into the pandemic, because obviously we made it to be seen in a cinema in a group of 200 or 300 people all laughing and crying together. But I am so grateful that the film is able to be streamed, because after all, I just want people to see it and really enjoy it. So I'm just grateful for the film being able to be streamed on these platforms. I think it's fantastic that we have them.